Good evening and welcome to the February 21st meeting of Troy City Council. I am Marty Baker, President of Council. Please silence your electronic devices for the duration of the meeting. We will begin with the invocation by Mr. Bobby Phillips, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Please bow your heads. Our Heavenly Father, please wrap your arms around our world. We ask that you continue to heal the sick, give comfort to the infirm, and guide your followers to spread your word. We ask that you watch over all of the women and men who sacrifice their family, time, and lives in order to protect and serve in whatever capacity for the betterment of our society. We ask that those less fortunate find comfort and come to improve their situation in some manner through the generosity of others. Lay a calming hand over all deliberations in order for our reason and common sense to prevail. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Tremblay?
Here.
Mrs. Oda?
Here.
Mr. Twist?
Here.
Mr. Kendall?
Here.
Mr. Heath? Mrs. Snee?
Here.
Mr. Swazer?
Here.
Mr. Twilliger?
Here. I move that we excuse Mr. Heath.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Kendall and seconded by Mr. Twist to excuse Mr. Heath. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Heath is excused.
Mrs. Knight, please read a summary of the minutes of the February 6th meeting of Troy City Council.
Minutes of Council, February 6, 2017. Committee reports. Community and Economic Development Committee recommended that legislation be prepared to approve the three pieces of legislation regarding the Philpott annexation. Finance Committee recommended that legislation be prepared to modify the lien requirements of the Jumpy's laser tag lien. Law and Ordinance Committee reported, committee recommends ordinance number 02-2017, rezoning of 214 South Mulberry Street be approved. Committee recommended that ordinance number 03-2017, as recommended by the Planning Commission regarding medical marijuana, be approved. Committee recommends that legislation be prepared objecting to a liquor license that was at 1441 Stony Creek Drive. Streets and Sidewalks Committee, Mr. Phillips reported, committee recommends legislation be prepared accepting grant at an easement at the northeast corner of Union and Dakota Streets. Committee recommends legislation be prepared authorizing amendment number 1 with ODOT related to the Recreation Trail project. Utilities Committee recommended legislation be prepared authorizing bidding of the cleaning of a lime sludge lagoon. Resolution number R9, 2017, removal of lime sludge from a lagoon at the water plant, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R10, 2017, municipal services for the Philpott annexation, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R11, 2017, regarding the buffering requirements for the Philpott annexation was given first reading and was adopted. Resolution number R12, 2017, consent to the Philpott annexation, first reading and adopted. Resolution number R13, 2017, executing an agreement related to the recreational trail project, first reading and adopted. Resolution R14, 2017, objecting to a liquor license was given first reading and adopted. Resolution number R15, 2017 was given first reading regarding the release of liens associated with the Jumpy's laser tag loan. Ordinance number 02, 2017, a rezoning, was given third reading and adopted. Ordinance number 03, 2017, regarding medical marijuana, was given third reading and failed adoption. Ordinance number 05, 2017, an easement, was given first reading and was adopted. Following comments, council adjourned 7:37 p.m.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Move to accept the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Schweizer to accept the minutes. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snee?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Move on to committee reports and begin tonight with Chairman Mr. Kendall and a report from the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. This report is concerning opposing the governor's proposed 2018-2019 budget. Committee members Swayzer and Kendall met on February 13th to review the severe negative impact that the governor's proposed budget would further have on the collection of municipal income tax and other revenues. Because of the numerous negative factors contained in the governor's proposed state budget for 2018 and 2019, many communities are voicing opposition to the passage of the budget. Recognizing that the negative factors of the governor's proposed budget, we believe that Troy should join other communities in publicly opposing this. We ask that legislation be prepared stating opposition to the governor's budget, so that the opposition is stated prior to the legislature considering the budget. We support emergency legislation, and this is respectfully submitted by Mr. Swayzer, Mr. Tremblay, and myself as chair.
Are there any questions from council? Thank you, Mr. Kendall.
Thank you.
The Personnel Committee has one reappointment. Chairman, Mr. Terwilliger.
Thank you, Madam President. This is an oral report where Mayor Beamish has asked for the approval for the reappointment of Theodore C. Ristoff to the Miami County Board of Health. I would like to move that the council approve the reappointment of Theodore C. Ristoff to the Miami County Board of Health for a new 5-year term starting from April 1st of 2017 through March 31st of 2022.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Terwilliger and seconded by Mr. Kendall to accept the appointment of Mr. Ristoff to the Miami County Board of Health. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Mr. Swayzer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes?
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
The Streets and Sidewalks Committee have the next reports from Chairman Bobby Phillips.
Thank you, Madam President. On February 13th, the committee members Snee and myself met regarding bidding authorization for the corner curb ramp project. The estimated cost of the project of $85,000 would be entirely paid by CDBG funds. This project will replace older sidewalk and corner curb ramps to meet the current accessible design standards. The project would be in the southeast part of Troy to coordinate with this year's sidewalk repair project. It was a recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the CDBG fiscal year 2016 corner curb ramp project at a cost not to exceed $85,000. And this is respectfully submitted by Mr. Heath, Mrs. Snee, and myself as chair.
Are there any questions or comments from council? You may continue.
The next item is a State Route 41 Signal Interconnect Phase 2 project, and the committee members Snee and myself met on February 13th to consider the request of the Ohio Department of Transportation to enact additional legislation regarding the State Route 41 traffic signal interconnect to reference ODOT funding related to the project. And it is the recommendation of this committee that legislation be prepared authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety to enter into an agreement with ODOT related to the ODOT funding of the State Route 41 Signal Interconnect Phase 2 project. In accordance with the standard ODOT format, we do support the amendment being approved by emergency legislation. Again, this is respectfully submitted by Mr. Heath, Mrs. Snee, and myself as chair.
Are there any questions from council? Thank you, Mr. Phillips. We now open the meeting to citizen comments. There is a 2-minute time limit at this point in the meeting, and Mr. Kerber is our timekeeper. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments related to the agenda items this evening? If so, please come to the microphone and state your name and address before addressing council.
Lester Connor, 1210 South Clay Street, Troy, Ohio. I have to take this with a little bit of humor. Now that the shoe's on the other foot, with the state getting into the pockets of Troy. It doesn't seem to matter to Mr. Tithen or the council when they put all these extra charges to the citizens, like the tags for street repair when we got plenty of money in the general fund. Water and sewer, everything's on a 10-year basis, but that seemed to be okay. But now the state wants to get in your pocket, and you're acting like a citizen. Oh, I can't stand it, I can't stand it. And now you're saying, well, let's get some petitions. Well, the city of Troy took petitions or letters in a newspaper about Treasure Island, and the majority of the people said no, but you went ahead and did it anyway. So, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience have any comments at this time? Move on then to resolutions and ask Mrs. Knight to read Resolution R-16, 2017.
Resolution number R-16, 2017, resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the CDBG PY 2016 Corner Curb Ramp Project, cost not to exceed $85,000. First reading.
Are there any comments or questions from council?
Move for suspension.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Tremblay to suspend the rules. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Schweizer and seconded by Mr. Twist to adopt the resolution. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, please read Resolution R-17, 2017.
Resolution number R-17, 2017, resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Troy, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation related to funding for the State Route 41 Traffic Signal Interconnect Project Phase 2 and declaring an emergency. This is the first reading.
Are there any questions or comments from council?
Move for suspension.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Kendall and seconded by Mr. Schweizer to suspend the rules. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Schweizer and seconded by Mr. Twist to adopt the resolution. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
Mrs. Knight, please read Resolution R-18, 2017.
Resolution number R-18, 2017, a resolution strongly opposing the State of Ohio Governor's proposed 2018-2019 budget, which proposes centralized collection of net profit tax returns and other disastrous provisions as detrimental to local governments, and which will result in further significant loss of revenue needed to support the health, safety, and welfare and economic development efforts of Ohio's communities, and declaring an emergency. This is the first reading.
Are there any questions or from council?
Move for suspension.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Kendall and seconded by Mr. Schweizer to suspend the rules. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Kendall and seconded by Mr. Twist to adopt the resolution. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Tremblay?
Yes.
Mrs. Oda?
Yes.
Mr. Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Kendall?
Yes.
Mrs. Snead?
Yes.
Mr. Swazer?
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Move on to ordinances and ask Mrs. Knight to please read Ordinance 06, 2017.
Ordinance number 06, 2017, ordinance releasing mortgage lien for Roy and Jean C. Baker and declaring an emergency. This loan made in 2002 has been paid off. First reading.
Are there any comments or questions from council?
Move for suspension.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Kendall to suspend the rules. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mrs. Oda,
Yes.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Kendall,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Swazer,
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay.
Yes.
Move for adoption. Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Kendall and seconded by Mr. Schweizer to adopt the ordinance. Mrs. Knight, please call the roll.
Mr. Twist,
Yes.
Mr. Kendall,
Yes.
Mrs. Snee,
Yes.
Mr. Swazer,
Yes.
Mr. Twilliger,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Tremblay,
Yes.
Mrs. Oda.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted.
That completes the business portion of tonight's meeting. Mrs. Knight, are there any communications or announcements?
Just the usual reminder about filing of financial disclosure statements.
Thank you. Mayor Beamish, do you have any comments this evening?
Well, thank you, Madam President. First of all, thank you for the reappointment of Ted Ristoff to the Health Department Board. He enjoys that job, and they like having him, so that was a good reappointment, and thank you. It doesn't seem possible, the Troy Strawberry Festival has their kickoff tomorrow at the Mayflower Arts Center, so you're all invited to come to that and find out what the new theme's all going to be about. And then the Chamber of Commerce has their annual dinner. It's a busy week, but they will be announcing their outstanding young man and young woman of the year. So that's always exciting because it's kind of secret. And I said, you know, invite you all to be a part of that. And our own, well, Tim left, but Tim Davis is the past Young Man of the Year recipient. I will be sending a cover letter along with your resolution that you have shared tonight supporting council's action opposing the governor's budget. So just want you to know I appreciate what you did tonight. Helps the vitality of the city. So we'll be doing that. That's it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Director of Public Service and Safety, Mr. Titterington, any comments?
I have nothing this evening, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Kerber, do you have any comments this evening?
I wish I did, but I do not.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council members this evening? You have questions? Any comments from city staff? Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience this evening?
Dr. Connor, 1210 South Clay Street, Troy, Ohio. I guess it would be for Bobby Phelps. On the sidewalk program, is there any senior or veterans discounts on any of that?
As to,
Having the sidewalk put in, the cost?
I don't,
Ramps.
no?
No.
You mean if somebody was having them repaired in front of their residence or
Right,
something?
right. And that person was a senior or a veteran, is there a discount for them?
I don't believe so, no.
No? Okay.
Anyone else in the audience have any comments this evening? Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. Have a safe and peace-filled week. Meeting adjourned.